One Piece chapter 1039. Now this might be the end for Big Mom. No guarantees yet, we need to see what happens next chapter, but based on Law's comment at the end there, it might be over for her, at least in terms of Wano. But in regards to the story as a whole, I don't think it ends here for her like it will for Kaido. So we'll see what happens next chapter. But this was honestly a crazy fight. People were already impressed with what Law was doing, but the potential for his devil fruit right now is just unreal. Kid, on the other hand, has deviated finally from using any sort of brute force attack and is now actually tapping into the overpowered side of magnetism, which is the electro part, right? So again, that was great to see. Kid does have variety, it's just that he needs more time to develop that. And honestly, from what this battle has shown, this essentially proves that Kid is one of the strongest physical fighters that we've seen so far, in which he's able to do so much damage without the use of any forms of haki. He's creating constructs and essentially bulldozing anything that comes his way with insane force that it bypasses the natural defenses of Big Mom. Now, while it did state that Big Mom was like an iron balloon, it didn't necessarily say that she was immune to all physical attacks. It's just that her physical strength is just so high that you need a lot of power to actually go through it, and most people don't have that. And so in most cases, it's better you just find something else that bypasses that defense with abilities such as Advanced Conquerors, the Internal Destruction Ryuo, or something on the same caliber as Law's Gamma Knife or Shock Willy, right? But here Kid proves that he doesn't need any of that and that he's capable enough with his Devil Fruit ability by itself. Same with Law. But here we're definitely seeing the beginning of him tapping into the hacks aspect of electromagnetism, which is dope. So that was great to see. But before we keep going, guys, I would appreciate it if you dropped a like on this video. Let's go for 500 likes and subscribe for more content on this channel. Now let's start from the beginning, and this takes us to Momonosuke's side of things, in which he is still trying to pull the island from Wano as much as possible so that he can delay the inevitable until either Luffy takes out Kaido or something else happens, because we do know that if Kaido gets defeated, the whole thing is going to come crashing down regardless, right? And this could result in a lot of people getting injured, specifically people on Onigashima itself. So regardless if Kaido gets defeated or not, they still have to find a way to soften the landing, and Zunisha might be key to that, because Momo does mention that he hears someone calling him, and I think it's very obvious who that is. So perhaps Zunisha plays a role into stopping Onigashima from crashing down. Given her size, it makes a lot of sense. Again, I forget how big Zunisha scales to an island the size of Onigashima, because if Zunisha is much bigger, then it's very likely that she can use her trunk to hold the entirety of Onigashima, but I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's definitely within the realms of possibilities at this point. Now moving on to Kid and Law versus Big Mom. The showings of Kid and Law has been very impressive, to the point that we could essentially consider them as being stronger than every single Yonko commander character. What we're seeing right now is them scratching the surface of their true potential. We also have to remember that these two don't have any forms of advanced haki that we know of like Luffy. They're able to keep up because their devil fruits are just naturally powerful, unlike Luffy's case, in which Luffy kind of needs haki unless he wouldn't be able to do anything that he's doing right now. Essentially, it just goes to show that there is tiers within the devil fruit abilities, and Law's and Kid's fruits are in the upper echelon for sure. Specifically Law's, because his is just on a whole different level. Now here we come to see the aftermath of the attack from the previous chapter, and we come to see that Big Mom has taken a lot of damage from the last technique, in which not only did she break her hand, but she also broke some of her ribs as well, because his ability allows the shock waves to travel from the inside out, meaning that it bypasses the exterior defense. And Big Mom even makes a comment about how Law's ability is extremely dangerous. Kid, on the other hand, seems to be causing exterior damage, which again is very impressive because he has to overpower Big Mom's natural defense, and it does help that Law is damaging from the interior because it gives Kid more potential for damage. So this is a really powerful combination in terms of both of their abilities working in tandem. Law uses internal attacks, Kid uses external. Now interestingly, we do come to see Big Mom use a new ability in which she's able to heal her wounds by harnessing her own soul. So again, we're seeing a lot of versatility with her devil fruit, and it didn't only just seem to heal her but also enhance or revitalize her as well, because we do see like streaks of haki coming out of her body, which kind of insinuates that she has rejuvenated in some sense, right? Now Big Mom responds by summoning her sword and destroys the giant bull from the previous chapter. And I like how Kid says that it doesn't matter how much you destroy, it's scrap anyways, because the metal that he uses doesn't hold any value. What really matters is the end goal and the construct that he makes with the metal. So Big Mom destroying it here doesn't really mean much because he can always recombine it regardless of how much it's broken down. So sometimes that also acts as a distraction, which was used here in order for Kid to get closer to Big Mom, in which Kid then used his awakening, a sign that we saw in the previous chapters, whereas he's able to assign fields of magnetism. In this case, he uses one on Big Mom and the other on the tower that was behind her, causing Big Mom and the tower to become magnetized. And what's very interesting here, and this is something that I've mentioned in my previous chapter, is that the magnetism, the force that it generates, is so powerful that Big Mom cannot brute force her way out of it. And I think this is the reason why Kid was able to do damage with the initial sign awakening attack that he did many chapters ago. The force that's being created by the magnetism is greater than Big Mom's physical strength, so that's a lot of power there. And this is very evident because Big Mom tries to evade the attack. I'd also want to mention that the horn of the bull is black, so I don't know if that's the design of the bull or if that's ornament haki that was being used here. Based on the shading, I would like to believe not, because it does not look like how Oda typically draws ornament haki. The shading for ornament haki is actually very distinct. I don't think this is haki being used here. Now, in response to this, Big Mom then attacks Kid with a homing attack that essentially eviscerates anything on sight, and because the attack is alive, it essentially makes it almost impossible to evade. But as Big Mom focuses on Kid, this gave Law the chance to make his move, as he did mention earlier that the next attack was going to be his final, and he did not disappoint. Now Law uses tact as a distraction, in which he launches one of the towers on Big Mom, which gave him the chance to land on Big Mom's body. Law then uses his awakening again, but this time the attack is much more powerful. If I had to put a multiplier of how much stronger this attack was, at the very least 10 times in comparison to what Shock Willy normally does. The attack was so powerful that it made a hole through Onigashima and created a crater on Wano. So if broken bones and broken ribs was the result of a normal Shock Willy, then we can only imagine what effect this attack had on Big Mom. It had to have had a very devastating effect on Big Mom, even though she was conscious afterwards. Again, this was very impressive from Law, and this is honestly top tier supernova stuff that we're witnessing right now. I do also want to point out that Law was getting punched by Big Mom while he was planting the attack, and Law did not give in throughout the whole thing. So again, in terms of Law's endurance and strength, he has been very impressive. Now Big Mom, still conscious, then uses a homing attack on Law, given that he's essentially out of energy. But of course, this gave Kid the chance to use his own final attack, which did turn out to be a lot better than we expected, with Kid using an actual rail gun. I think this is what a lot of people wanted from Kid, apart from him just using the usual metal stomping attacks, right? So seeing Kid use a newfound technique was definitely amazing, and it honestly just opens up more potential for him, because now he seems to be tapping into the electro side of magnetism, which is extremely overpowered. Now the attack does hit Big Mom, but we don't necessarily see the aftershock yet. I think that will be shown in the next chapter, in which Big Mom's body will most likely get launched outside of Onigashima, and the attack might create like a huge hole in the entirety of Onigashima, given that his attack was supposed to be more flashy than Law. So I expect like a part of Onigashima just crumbling out. Now, whether that attack knocked her out for the count, we're not sure, but given Law's speech talking about how Big Mom's era is over, it leads me to believe that she may be knocked out here. And we do also see that her eyes turn white. Now, that's not really indicative of someone being KO'd, but it is something that we can use to prove that. So again, we're not sure, but given the context of this scene, it's very likely. But again, when it comes to Big Mom's defeat here, again, I don't think her story ends here, because we still have more to dig in with Big Mom, as some of the plot lines with her is still unresolved. So we will be seeing Big Mom post Wano, but as far as her defeat here, it's definitely going to leave a stain on her reputation for sure, because this is going to be all over the news that Kid and Law destroyed Big Mom. But overall, this fight was incredible. I think this definitely sets in stone that Kid and Law and Luffy are just the best out of the supernovas, and of course including Zoro as well. But these three in particular are just on another level, and it seems that Oda has a much greater plan for them. But overall, great chapter. Cannot wait to see what happens in the next chapter, if Big Mom is defeated or not, because that would tell us what will be happening moving forward. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I'd appreciate it if you dropped a like on this video, comment down below what you guys think, subscribe for more One Piece content on this channel, hit the bell if you want to go notified for future content. You can follow me on Twitter at FerroSpace. But it is Ferro, guys, and I will see you folks later. Peace.